Hello and welcome to Meet Your Neighbor. I'm Maybelle Hall. I'm very happy to have as my guest today Linda Meyer, who is the director of the Chatham Area Public Library. And I am so happy you are here, Linda, because this library fascinates me. How long have you been the director?
This is my 21st year.
21 years. When was the Chatham Area Library built?
Our building was built in 1994, but the library actually started in 1987.
Well, before we go on with that, I neglected to ask you, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and what is necessary to be a librarian?
Well, of a varying degree of skills. My background, I worked on my MLS, Master of Library Science, at the University of Illinois. And I didn't complete it because when I got the job, it kind of took over and took all my time. But many librarians do have an MLS.
MLS?
MLS, Master of Library Science.
I see.
And there's also an LIS, which is Library and Information Science. And that was added to accommodate all the technology that's involved in libraries now. But many of the people that work in my library some of them have a teaching degree. We have people that just basically, not just, but they have computer skills. So really you can have, there's a diverse background that you can have and work in a library, and that brings a lot of talent into libraries.
Are you from this area?
I'm from Rochester, but I grew up in Minnesota.
Oh, Well, before we go a little bit further into about the Chatham Library, I have to tell you about a book I just recently read. It was called Dewey.
Oh, Dewey the Cat.
Dewey the Library Cat.
Yep.
And that was the neatest little book. It was so cute. I just really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's getting rave reviews in the library world.
Is it?
Yes.
Well, anyway, I certainly enjoyed that book. Okay, now tell us a little bit about your library. Where is it located? And I understand you have a lot of good community support for this.
Oh, absolutely, we do.
Okay.
The original library in Chatham was founded in about 1970 by a women's club, a women's group. And it was a volunteer library. It was not tax supported. And the women's club kept that library going until they brought in a 17-member community group to try and get the library tax supported on the tax rolls. And that's what happened in 1987. There was a demonstration library built in 1986, and then a referendum in 1987. And then that started the library in a shopping center in Chatham. And we were in a shopping center from the time I was there, 1988, in 3,000 square feet until we built the new library and had our own facility, and that was 13,600 square feet.
Wow.
And that was
what a jump.
It was quite a jump, and it was in 1995 that we moved into that facility. And we started to outgrow it. And so in 2006...
What is that picture of?
This is a picture of the original
okay.
building, but now it's being expanded in that same location.
I see. Okay.
So in 2006, we passed a referendum to double the size of that original building.
How many people do you have working in the library?
Almost 30.
That's a large staff.
When I started in 1988, we had 3.
3.
A staff of
From
3.
3 to 30.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Well, that shows that
Lot
you're
of growth.
growing.
Yes.
You
The
are
community
growing.
is growing and the
Right.
library has grown
Uh-huh.
with it.
Well, I'm anxious to look at the pictures, but before we do, tell us a little bit about some of your special services.
Well, we have a lot of special services. We have a very large amount of children's programs. Because Chatham is a growing community, we have a large number of families with young children. So we have a baby talk, 0 to 36 month. That's a very large group of not only babies, but moms, grandparents, dads. So they meet on Tuesday mornings. We have a group that meets on Thursday evening, and that's a preschool story time for 4 and 5-year-olds. Then we have another group that meets on Friday morning. That's also a preschool story time. So those are our 3 regular children's programs, but we also have a lot of adult programs. We have tax services provided for people who make appointments through the VITA tax service. We have a book delivery program. We have a lot of study rooms at the library where people can come in and tutor or be tutored.
I suppose you have a lot of book reviews too.
We do. We have a book discussion group. We offer a lot of meeting room space, so we have quite a few community organizations that have their meetings at the library. So those are a few of the things that we offer.
Well, it just sounds great. I have not been in it. I drove by it to look at it, but that was a long time ago, before you grew, before you expanded.
Sure.
You're right. So I'd like to know more about it. Show us some of the pictures and tell us what they are.
Well, before the expansion, the front of the library was straight across. It was pretty much of a rectangle. And with the expansion, we added little triangular wings. And so on the south end of the building, the north side of the building, and the north end of the building, there are, I'll call them like jut-outs. This is another example of one. And that expanded the front of the library. So down on this, oops, I'm going to lose my pictures here. Down on this end is a staff lounge, but there's also, down on this end is also the cafe. And we have a cafe and bookstore that's being run by our friends of the library. And then that cafe has an area outside of it that will be a patio area. And so we'll also have picnic tables, we'll have benches, so people that get a cup of coffee can come outside with their coffee if they choose to do that.
And read a book?
And read a book. The friends will have a cafe and used bookstore.
You know,
they'll
that's
be running.
really the trend now, isn't
It
it?
is.
To have a little coffee bar in a library. I think that was, who was that started? One of the book groups. Barnes & Noble started that. Having, I think that's neat.
There are libraries all over the country that are doing that now. We happen to be one of the first in our area to do it.
Right.
But they're very popular.
Oh, I'm sure.
So,
and you have a picture of the...
and this is what the cafe looks like. It isn't open yet. We're not planning to open until almost the end of February.
Oh,
But people can walk in and take a look at it, and then we'll be open for business.
That's a neat picture. I like that.
And we were just temporarily using it as a staff lounge, so we've got the chairs broken in.
Yeah. Okay.
Then this is our children's area, and The toddler area is also a memorial to the Hay family, their daughter Jessica. This is a memorial area to her.
see.
So it's the whole toddler area is
Okay.
named in her memory. Some of the neat features in it
Oh, isn't that neat?
is the children's library.
It looks like a little playhouse.
Yeah, but it is actually a library. It has
Books in it.
books in it, and
Uh-huh.
it has magnetic
Isn't
board.
that neat? I think that's really neat. I'm sure the children love to go there.
They do. They do.
And they go
enjoy
in the
that a
little
lot.
children's library and look at books.
And then there's a rug. You can kind of see the edge of it.
I'll put it up. Yeah.
That was, in fact, here's a better picture of it. This was actually donated by the Kiwanis Club
Oh.
of Chatham. So it's an alphabet rug, and then the Kiwanis symbol is in the middle.
Uh-huh.
And then a lot of the items in our children's area, like for instance the tree, and some of the other things that you can see, the furniture, those were all donated through a Ronald McDonald's
Oh,
grant.
Ronald McDonald, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a little puppet theater,
Oh, a puppet theater. Children love that.
don't they?
Right.
So all of these are just pretty much that area.
Uh-huh, that's the children's library. Isn't
And then
that great?
That's the toddler area, but this is the children's area. So there are computers here
So there's a different area, toddlers and
for
then
the
children's.
older
Right.
children.
Okay. And
And then this is a young adult area, and so the young adult is separate from the children's area. Young adult, there are booths, graphic novels, some relaxed furniture. There's a game table there that they can play checkers or chess or
isn't that
Monopoly
nice?
or
I never heard
variety
of a
of
library
games.
where you could play checkers or Monopoly.
yeah.
I think that's wonderful. That's really great. And what is that? Is that
That's the young
same-
adult area.
The young adult area.
This is an adult periodicals area, so all the magazines, and there's a full set of windows there.
I can see the windows.
Facing
yeah.
the west.
Uh-huh. It lets in a lot of light.
And there's landscaping. We had a landscape committee that worked with a landscaper, and we were able to put a small garden in right outside the window.
Oh,
So
isn't that neat?
makes it real
Uh-huh.
comfortable.
Right.
And there's some lounge furniture there. Just this is a new books area that's right as you come in the front door. Toward the front are the new books.
That's interesting. As they see the new books, yeah.
This is just another shot of the periodicals area, and
I see the
there
bright
you
windows.
can just see the windows and
Yes.
the lounge furniture.
Uh-huh. Who designed your library?
Our library was designed by A-Pace Design of Peoria and an architect named Mark Misselhorn.
Had they done many
Yes,
libraries before?
yes.
So they knew what you wanted?
Yes, they worked very well with us on the design and
All the features that you wanted
yes,
to add.
features, and making sure it was very functional. So it's a beautiful design, but it's also very functional.
You know, we were talking about the libraries of the past 20 years ago and libraries of the future. How they have changed. They have
Absolutely.
gradually morphed into something really delightful and nice to go to, where it makes it inviting for children to go.
It really does, and if our library has had tremendous community support, and so it's really evolved into a community center.
Uh-huh. Well, that's interesting, too, that's a part of a community center. I would imagine you have a lot of meetings there.
We do,
Yeah.
yes. So
Okay, and next?
this This is the circulation area, so right as you come in the front door is the circulation desk. You can see that. We had our Christmas tree up, but these are the center doors where you come into the library.
Okay.
And then if you go into the adult area, this is an area with a lot of tables. It's the reference area and the adult fiction and nonfiction area. And this is just another shot of that. Just a little bit different view. And there are computers throughout the library. So we have...
How many computers do you have?
There are about 66 computers in the library.
66? Oh, my word.
Now that includes the ones that the staff use in addition to the ones that the public.
That's a lot of...
Isn't that amazing?
Yes. That's a large number of computers.
Well, 15 of them are right here in the lab, and there are another 12 laptops that can be checked out and used elsewhere in the library.
So that's the computer.
This is the computer lab.
And there's another picture of it.
Just another shot. And that lab can be used as a classroom. We can offer computer classes.
Do you offer computer classes?
We do now. We were not able to until we built, and now that we have the additional room and the additional equipment, we're able to. So we're starting computer classes in March.
Library of the Future. Okay, and next?
Okay, this is the meeting room. It's down adjacent to the children's area, and it's actually one great big large room that can also be divided into 4 smaller rooms or 2 rooms. And again, we tried to use a lot of new technology in it. We have laser projectors, we have projector screens that drop down and can be used by community groups. So we really tried to bring in a lot of new technology into those rooms.
Oh, I'm sure.
So we've used them. We had a teen movie day, and we put
why don't we put some of them on the table?
We put movies up on the big screen. When we had our Halloween program, we had about 140 children, and so when they read the stories, they used a document camera to put the pages up on the screen, and then they used a microphone to tell the stories. So they were able to just have a huge crowd, and yet all the kids could see everything and really feel a part of it. So
see how they've changed.
They're just able to do some amazing things with that technology.
And children learn so much faster with all of this.
They do. They gravitate to all the new ways of doing things.
Right. 66 computers. Wow.
Isn't that amazing? And then this is down at the north end.
Lots of nice bright windows.
There are.
I like that.
There are. The brightness, and
yes.
Even on a cloudy day, it's light in the library. One of the things that we've been able to do right now, this whole area has just a fantastic Lincoln display. And one of our staff members is a quilter, and your last guest reminded me of, she made a Lincoln quilt. And so we have just a whole variety of things on display for the bicentennial. And so now that we have display room, we can do a lot more things in the library as well.
That would have been interesting. I'd like to see that quilt.
It is neat.
Yes.
Well, it just went on display, so it'll be there for a while.
Okay.
So you'll have an opportunity.
Maybe I can make it out there.
This just, one of the things that we were just in desperate need of was shelf space for materials. And so Now we actually have a lot of additional shelf space and some growing room for materials.
Yeah.
We have a collection right now of about 80,000 items.
Now, when I look at some of these, well, I belong to a book club, and I get these little catalogs, thin little catalogs about the new books coming out, and I very rarely buy any of them, but I read them about the book.
Oh, sure.
And then I call the library and put it on reserve.
That's a great way to go. I'm highly in favor of that.
Well, you see, many of these books that they are selling, I want to read, but I don't want to keep. So I do that, and I notice that a lot of my books that I read from the library come from other libraries.
Yes. Yeah. We have a consortium in this area of 144 libraries, and we share materials with each other, and we have delivery that goes back and forth between all those libraries every day. And so if you order a book at Lincoln Library, it might come from Chatham, but it could also come from Effingham or Mason City.
A lot of them do. They come from all over.
And it's a really good use of taxpayer money, because not every library has to own every item.
Right.
You make sure that you have enough copies of bestsellers so that you can keep those circulating. But if there's a area where another library has a full complement of books, not as many libraries have to have those same books.
Right.
Because you
And
from each
share.
other. You can share.
Yes, so that keeps each library from having to have all the books.
Absolutely
Right.
it does. Yeah, it's a
That's great.
It works well. It's a very efficient system. This is the kitchen that's next to our meeting rooms, and groups that are using the library all have access to that kitchen. So they can get their coffee pots set up before a meeting, and then each of the meeting rooms have their own coffee cart.
So that's nice.
That way we can have a lot of groups in there at a time.
Yeah.
And I
And-
think we've already seen that one. So.
Well, Linda, that makes me want to come and visit your library.
Well, there's something missing here too. They're just now finishing up on the Chatham History Genealogy Room. And so I wasn't able to get any pictures, but that's going to be an amazing room as well. And that'll be the first time we've had Chatham history things on display and had genealogy materials where we had enough room for them.
Right. Well, you know, our library, they're talking about a possibility of closing some of our branches, which would just make me sick, because I feel like a branch library is almost like a school. You certainly don't want to close a school, so why would you want to close a library? I just feel like it's the most necessary thing, and it really is very dear to my heart, because I love to read. And I would, well, if they close the West Branch, which I use usually, I'll just come to Chatham.
Well, there you go. But I don't want to see West Branch closed
Oh,
either.
I don't either.
No, I think
no.
it's very
Yeah.
necessary, very important.
Yeah.
It's, in a way, it's like the Chatham Library.
Right.
It serves a whole segment of Springfield, just like we serve all of Chatham. So,
Well, we only have a couple minutes left. I'm going to ask you one more question.
sure.
Can you tell me what you think the library of the future is going to have, other than what we have now?
A lot of
Technology.
A lot of technology, a lot of multimedia materials. It's not that people are moving away from books, but they are adding other formats. When they go out jogging, they might have an MP3 or a CD.
Yeah.
So people are just using a lot more forms of technology. You have a CD player in your car. Everywhere you go, you have other formats. And I don't know.
That where there used to be a wall where the
It's a baby talk. I believe it's 0 to 36. You know, when people made donations, we kept it in-house.
you had all.
And I'm ready.
Are you going to retire?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
good for you.
Yes.
But in the time you have left, you're still slated. And she did some other search.
Yes.
And you've got an
Typewriter was from Dr. Bradley's office,
Thanks.
mother, and she bought that window for the original Catholic Church in Chatham, and Opal rescued that window from a dump pile when that church was sold to the VFW. And so had Opal not been there, we would not have that. And it meant a lot to her because it was